All right, let me start over. Boy, did I really F up the beginning of this stream. So what I was saying was I forgot to roll the pre-roll countdown timer because I was in the middle of a text. And Joe's calling me now to tell me we have no audio, but we should have audio now. So, yep, he hung up. Wow, we are on the great start today. Thank you all for being here. 11:15 start time. I know it's not the normal start time. However, have somewhere to be today, so hence the early start time. So getting back to messing up the intro, I saw Joe's message come in about if I was going to talk about the Unify Airwire, and so I was responding to him privately on that. But that wasn't the only thing that, kind of got me caught off guard. I was saying I had a hell of a 6 minutes or 8 minutes prior to the stream. And it's interesting because I'm usually up here with a lot of time. But today it was a funny, I'll just start with this funny little sequence of events that happened. So I left the studio at about 11:15. To go downstairs. I hadn't had breakfast yet, so I wanted to have my breakfast bar. I made my coffee, my iced coffee, and came back up to the studio and realized that it was around 11:06 that I came back up to the studio and realized, I got a roll at 11:13. So I didn't have a lot of time. And I went and I checked, closed the doors that I always do. But I know I had a chocolate protein bar, so I figured, I'm going to have all this chocolate in my teeth. So I went to the bathroom and I looked. Sure enough. And I'm trying to do everything I can, to get it off, and it's not coming off. So I run downstairs and I get my toothbrush. Well, that's helping a little bit, but I really needed to water pick. So now I'm filling up the water pick so that I can water pick my teeth. On top of that, the water pick doesn't shut off the way it normally did, and it splattered the entire mirror in front of me. So then I knew when Lisa gets home, if I left it that way, I'm going to be in the doghouse tonight. So I said, I can't do that. So I go to get the towel. There's no towels on the rack because they're in the laundry. So I had to find another towel, wipe down the mirror, and I come back upstairs, and it's now like 11:08, 11:09. And I checked the mirror again. I don't know why I didn't check the mirror downstairs, but I came back, I checked the mirror again here, and I still got food in my teeth. So I ran back downstairs this time to figure I'll try to get it with a toothpick. And there's my 17-year-old Chihuahua staring me in the face, taking a leak on the floor. And I can't leave that, so now I'm running to get the paper towels and the disinfectant, and I'm wiping that up, and I throw that out, and I turn around, and now she's up chucking. So, it was just one of those mornings. I got up here and it was like 11:13 where I finally sat down in this chair and realized I didn't even start the pre-roll until 11:14, which was a minute late. And then I responded to the signal message or the live chat. So if you wonder what creators do when they're getting ready to go prepare for a live stream, it's not that what I just described. So anyway, welcome everybody. Saturday afternoon, March 21st, 11:15 start time. We'll go back to the normal start time next week. Before I forget, I want to just publish that Jeremy, and we'll get to saying hello to everybody, but I'm going to I'm going to put Jeremy's stream link in the chat because he is going live at 1 o'clock for the after party after this stream. So let me put that in the chat now. And I'll do it again later before the end of the stream so that if anybody comes in late, you can leave here. I'm going to do a hard cut at 12:45 today because I got to be out of here. Regardless of where we are in the stream, it's going to be a hard cut at 12:45. If I even go that long, we'll see how it plays out. But I will put Jeremy's stream link in the chat again later on. So, finally, through all that blabber. Let's go over to the comments and say hello to people. All right. Jeremy says, I'll take the #1 spot when I can. Yes. Congratulations, Jeremy. You are #1 in the front row today. And I am going to make a habit of reading my chats before I bring them live on the air. Because sometimes I just feel like I shouldn't put certain things up, but it's too late. So if you see me hesitating before I go live with the chat, that's why. Grish is saying good morning all. Joe is saying good morning. And then he followed up with this. I really, really hope you talk about the new Unify endpoint that came out this week. And I'm assuming he's talking about the AirWire. I am really not a Unify channel anymore. That was years ago when I first started Unify, first started YouTube. And I really have been out of the Unify loop ever since I got involved with GrandStream, which is going on about 4 years ago now, maybe even 5. So I do maintain a Unify controller still in DigitalOcean to just update the clients that I have in my existing networks that I had put out there. But other than that, I am not up on the latest Unify controller changes, the console, any of that stuff. So when I get questions from viewers, like on my videos, and it's regarding Unify, I refer them to Willie, Tom Lawrence, Cody, even Chris. I mean, I'm not versed in it anymore. Although I did just have my Unify controller updated to the latest version, the production one, and I loaded it in Proxmox as well as Sandbox so that I could kind of familiarize myself with it so I'm not completely out of the loop. But I saw Cody's video on the AirWire, and I mean, it looks cool. I think it's $199. I mean, he showed some stunning results. Whether or not that's reality or not, it's hard to say. I probably will not get one for myself. The question came up, is it a money grab? I don't know. Is it Unify just, doing what Unify does? I don't know. But you guys can have a conversation about it in the chat if you want, but I'm not really going to, especially on a shortened time frame, I'm not really going to put too much time into that. So Jason says, good morning all, let's talk no Unify stuff. Well, that's about all we're going to talk about it. And Grish says, if it's that USB-C wireless receiver thing, I would rather spend the money to put another AP. Yep. Jeremy's saying hello to everybody. Bluey is here. Welcome. Hope everyone's well. Let's see. Jason says, I'm with Grish installing another AP or proper wiring, i.e. better than all these little Wi-Fi problematic devices all over, giving false hope of a reliable network. And not only that, but the first thing that I thought about when I saw the video was it's just more crap in the airwaves that can go wrong, right? So, I don't know. Like button smash. Thank you, Grish. I appreciate that. And then Joe is saying here, I meant the fact that it's a money grab. It could be. Countdown wasn't stuck. I just forgot to start it, and I explained myself. So anyway, yes, we are going to start, and here we are. And then here's my... that's your new name, Joe, by the way. Beetlecephus. All right. Yep, no sound, no sound, no sound, no sound. I hear all that. Yes, the Mac is going through a different channel. The microphone was muted. Let's see. Hello, Mike. Welcome. Thank you, Grish, for still smashing the like button. No, it's fine. If I didn't have the whole episode with my eating that stupid bar and, the first 6 or 8 minutes prior to getting up here, I probably would have been a little bit, more chill about it. Time zone is 18:19 now. Well, that's, I guess, I'm not sure where you are, but welcome. Glad to have you here. And yeah, it's a true story. So anyway, yeah, I've come to learn that I am who I am. I'm not afraid to show who I am. And I also realize that life is too short, and I appreciate every day of life that I have still, and hopefully I'll have a few more. And I have no problem like laughing at myself when I do stupid things. You're hearing bloops of some kind from the Mac. Bloops. Nothing's really going on. I mean, I am running the dryer downstairs, which is right outside the studio. I don't know if you hear the tumbling of the stuff in the dryer. I don't know. Oh, there's a bunch of them. The one I had today was the Robert Irvine bar. It's chocolate. To me, it tastes like a $100,000 bar, which is why I like it so much. But Lisa buys whatever's on sale when she goes to Costco. But yeah, no, the land stuff is okay, Mike. Glad you enjoyed the story. There's the link to Jeremy's stream. We talked about it a little bit in the week. He wasn't sure if he was going to do it, but he texted me like 10 minutes before the stream saying that he finally scheduled it, and would I share it? And absolutely. So here it is. Yeah, I saw that with the latest version 10. So I have to figure that one out, Grish. Because it's out on a DigitalOcean instance, and I got to see whether the instance is large enough or not. I duplicated the Proxmox VM that I had running the latest version, and then tried to install the OS to upgrade it from just a standalone controller to the OS. And I got a message saying something to the effect of that the home folder did not have enough space, and I tried to increase the overall size of the VM drive, hoping that that would just help, but it didn't. It's looking for me to specifically increase the size of the home folder. It was short by about 8 gig, and that's where I left off. I left it off at that point. So I got to go back to the drawing board on that. So, and Grish says still self-hostable. Yes, we are going to talk about this today quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but we're going to talk about it. Bluey says the new GCC series beta firmware now has 0 tier. Haven't tried it yet, though. I haven't tried it either, but I did see that. I need to load the beta on one of the lab GCCs to test it before I do anything with my production 6020. Jason wants to know if anyone here is using NetBird. You probably have a good shot with Jeremy and David using it. I don't use it. David says I had to move back to Tailscale, waiting for NetBird to improve their app. Fair enough. App on the phone has been flawless for me, but I mainly use it for networks and stuff, using their new proxy too. Jeremy says, when I am unalive, I'm going to come back to haunt Beetle Cephas. You think the message bloops were coming through? Are they still? You haunt me now at Practical IT. Oh my gosh. You guys crack me up. It's all just containers now. You run their script and it installs Podman. Yes, I saw that when I was running this, when I ran the script. Of course, I had to Google how to upgrade, from the standalone to the console. But I did see Podman install. Brings up a bunch of containers. Told them years ago they need to containerize it for easy management. They listened. Yes, they listened to you, David. All right, so take a deep breath. Here we are. So one of the things I wanted to start off with was just a quick video of, if I can just move it over to here. I don't think you're going to have any, I don't think there's any sound to the video, but that's okay. I'll talk over it. That's all. So it's about 3 months now since the GWN 7670LR was installed outside on the pergola. And we've had, I'll play the video while I'm talking. We've had a hell of a lot of torrential rains and T-storms and lightning storms. So this was just this week, and I just took a quick video to show you guys that, I mean, it's getting drenched, and it's, you can see the blue light there. It's functioning. It's working. Yeah. So anyway, I took this quick video from out the lanai door just to show you the torrential rains that we get. And we've had 4 or 5 of these, plus we had the actual snowstorm as well. So, I mean, this has been through, between the access point and the outdoor switch, it's been through a good test of weather. So I'm very happy. I mean, it didn't blip at all. Speaking of bloops. So the bloops are from the webcam gestures. Oh. Webcam gestures. I guess they're coming from, hold on. So the only webcam would be coming from this laptop. And the reactions, there we go. Hopefully that resolved it. So yeah, the reactions were highlighted, so hopefully that resolved it. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize they were on. So, okay. Thank you. Denatures. I was reading that saying, before I even try to pronounce it, I'm going to look down and see if that was a typo. And it was. Jason says, I've been using NetBird for a while. Want to try out the proxy. Looks like an alternative to Cloudflare tunnels and Pangolin. Interesting. Yeah, we should, that should be gone now. So, and Jason says it works so good too. So anyway, and I just saw Mike's question pop in. No, not at all, Mike. In fact, while it was pouring like that, I was running all kinds of speed tests and trace routes and pings out to the internet, and it was flawless. So I'm very, very, very happy with the device as well as the installation as well. So, yep. All right. So that was that. Another thing I wanted to show you, I came across an app this week. Let me just get this AirPlay up. Hold on one second. Let me get this up to the studio. Okay. Wrong. Hold on. Stop. There we go. Tony's MacBook Studio, Tony's iPad. I picked the wrong device. Just give me a second. Okay, so let me get this up here. All right, so I found an app this week called Proxman. Now, unfortunately, it's only an iPad app, an iPhone app, and it works on the iPad as well. But it completely is an app interface for Proxmox. So you can see on the home screen, it shows me the online servers. I got my PVE2 and PVE1 and my PBS backup server. So if you look here, hopefully this will work. And of course that did not work. Hold on one second. Let's see what the problem is. Okay, it's live. All right, so let's see if this works now. Okay, but it's not showing. Why? Hold on. There we go. All right, so if you, Jesus, it's been one of those days. If you look at where it says PVE2, the second node, you can see with the circle I have around API token. So this app allows you to sign in with an API token that you create in Proxmox. You also have the ability to sign in with just a traditional username and password, and that's what I have here for PVE1 and the Proxmox backup server. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let me just get rid of all that. And if we go into, let's say PVE1, which is signed in with the username and password, up at the very top here, you can choose which node you want to select. So if I click on it, then you can see down here, it allows me to choose whichever node. So I'm going to just for now stick to PVE1 or the regular, node, the first node. And what you see on the screen, you get a nice dashboard of CPU usage, memory usage, storage, uptime, and all that. If we scroll all the way down, we'll come back to node information. If we scroll all the way down, you can see the VMs on that node, and the ones that are running, you can see are green right here. And the nice thing about it, you also have the ability to VNC into it as well. You can stop it, you can reboot it. It tells you the CPU that particular VM is using, so how much CPU power. So I thought that was really cool. Interesting enough, if I go down to, or if I go back up to here, you see this right here, you can actually create a VM right from the app. You can create a full virtual machine or an L.L.C container. So again, that's pretty cool. Sorry about I'm actually operating the app on the iPhone, but I am then going over to the iPad to draw on the telestrator. So sorry for the overlap of stuff on the screen. So yeah, I like the feature so far. It's been working pretty good. If we go into, before we go into node information, at the very top right here, you have the access to the actual terminal, so we can go into the terminal of the node. Well, you should be able to go into the terminal of the node. What did I do? Let's go back into it. There we go. Let's try that one more time. There we go. All right, I must have hit the 3 dots as well with my fat fingers. So anyway, you can see you can actually terminal into the node itself, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's small, but it does help in a pinch, and you can obviously flip your phone for a little larger screen. So again, I found the app to be pretty user-friendly. I know a couple of weeks ago I showed you just the accessing the control the servers through like a web browser, but this is an actual app. And so far, so good. Interestingly enough, let me back out of here. And, well, no, let me go back in there. PVE1, if I select the second node, I want to point something out. You can see that on the second node, I have the option for VNC. As long as I am accessing the second node through being signed in using the first node, right? I signed in here. However, if I sign in, not there, if I sign in or tap on PVE2, where I'm authenticated with the token, the API token, you can see that on a VM that's running like here, VNC option is gone. The other thing I also noticed is when I'm signed in or accessing through the node that's signed in with the token, if I hit the terminal fails to load. So in any event, but overall, I do like it. I do like it a lot. If we go to backup, you have node actions, terminal, VNC, node info. You could reboot, shut down, complete backups. Now, I will say that I am running, let me go back out of here for a second. Let me stop the sharing. Hold on. Okay, so I will say this. I will say that it's free. I did buy the upgraded, the paid version. The only thing that you get with the paid version is you get the VNC and the backup ability. Everything else that I showed you is in the free version, and it wasn't expensive. It was either $4.99 a year or $9.99 lifetime, and for $10, that wasn't going to break me to test out the app. So I'm going to continue testing it out. It's called Proxman, Proxman. Unfortunately, it's only out right now for iOS, but they said they are working on an Android version, so yay. The API token is a new feature that they just added, so I'm not sure if that's normal functionality, that I can't get to the terminal shell, or whatever VNC if I'm authenticated using the API token. But in any event, we'll see how that plays out. And I want to just go here real quick. Hold on. Okay, sign in. Color theme. Okay. Let's go up to here. And right in the data center, if you're wondering how to, where did I create the API token? It's in the data center and it's under permissions, under API tokens. You can add one here and then give it permissions. So you have to add it, and then the second step is to give it permissions to what you want to access. Now, I did the same thing. This is the same token. So for PVE and PVE2, in other words, I had the two nodes signed in using the token. Then when I realized I didn't have the ability to log into the terminal and the VNC, I signed out, and they were both signed in using the same one, which makes sense because it's in the data center level. So I signed out of the one node and signed in with the username and password. So just to test things out. So you do create it here, and then for Proxmox backup server, Well, let me just do it this way. Doop, doop, doop. For Proxmox backup server, it's under, to create the API token, it's under configuration, access control, and API token here. And it's the same thing. You create the token, and then you have to give it the actual permissions. So anyway, I'm going to keep on playing with it, but so far I'm liking it a lot. Let's go over to here. Let's go to the comments. I see them flying in, so not sure where I left off. I'm just trying to find where I left off. Here. Jack Squat 55 is here. I'm always up for some new Grand Stream content. Very cool. Yeah, one of them anyway. One of probably 4 or 5. Nope, no Unify here, not anymore. Years ago. Hey David, welcome. Glad to have you here. Keith is here, welcome. Chris says, I'm a Unify user and will continue to be as long as GrandStream does not have a direct sales model or does not have stuff on Baltic Networks or another distributor. Fair enough. That's awesome. I purchase all my GrandStream equipment from Streakwave. They give me the best price. Yes, I have to agree with you there. Same here. Keith says, I'm Unify. Should I sit in the corner as well? No, everybody's welcome here, guys. You know, it's not like riding a Harley Davidson where you don't wave to the Japanese make bikes, you know. Good morning, Alonzo. Welcome. Dick Rooney is here. Welcome. And here's what Alonzo uses. Keith says, do you like your keyboard down under the desk? Yes, I do. I like it because I like to lean on my desk and I don't want the keyboard in the way. And then when I need to show stuff with the top-down camera, it's not in the way. Jason says, we need more likes, guys. Thank you, Jason. We're not handing out dunce caps today. No, we're not. All right. So TerraMaster reached out to me this week again and wanted me to do another video on the F4 425 Plus NAS that I had. I think I did 2 videos on it when they sent it to me a couple months ago. And because they reached out because they're running a huge spring sale, March 25th. So this is next week, March 25th through the 31st. And they said to me that they would like me to do another video on it and that they would give me an affiliate link. They're running a bit 15% off on that particular device. So I was pretty straightforward with them. I was transparent with them. I said, you know, listen, I did 2 videos on it. I did live up to my commitments. I have since repurposed the TerraMaster to be my Proxmox backup server with the ZFS data store. But I said to them I would be happy to promote your big sale event and the 425 Plus in my live stream this Saturday and also in an upcoming video next week, which both would align perfectly for your sale. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'm going to share the affiliate link with you guys. So just go with me on this one. So here is the 425 Plus, that the F4 425 Plus that I reviewed a couple of months ago. I probably think end of December, early January. It's regularly $649.99, and it's already showing the 15% off price of $551.99. Now that's diskless, and that's the flavor of the N150 processor and 16 gig of DDR5 RAM. If you go to the Intel N95 processor with 8 gig of RAM, you're looking at $599, and this one is not obviously on sale. There are no discounts. So let's click back here. Looking at the core applications, you have the Intel, like I said, N150 processor, 4-core, 4-thread, up to 144 terabytes of storage potential, 16 gig DDR5 RAM, and I believe, if I remember from when I did the review, it's upgradable up to 32. It's got AI-powered smart content and a wide range of apps. It says here, 2 5 gigabit Ethernet ports, and yes, they are. You can aggregate the two. Let's go down. I remember it has the 3 NVMe drives, which I thought was pretty cool, because most NAS only come with 2. What else? It comes with Docker. It does hardware transcoding. It has a friendly, nice TerraMaster operating system with T-RAID, similar to Synology hybrid RAID concept. Let's see what else. Enterprise backup solution in their business backup suite. So, I mean, they are fully featured, and they are, from the testing I did on it, it was a super solid device. I really did like it. I'm actually in the process of negotiating with them to get one of their rack mount NAS servers. So we're going to see how that plays out. But I did tell them that I would promote that particular device and their big sale. Again, the sale is March 25th through the 31st, although the website is showing the 15% off on that device now. So whether or not they are just getting the website updated ahead of time or not, I don't know, but that's what they did tell me. So I am going to talk about sharing affiliate links after the conversation we had last week. I'm going to share that with you now. So if you're interested in, it is an entry level NAS. So if you're interested in a budget NAS, it would be a good choice. Okay. That's that. All right, let's go back down to the comments real quick. Yeah, we'll be out on the motorcycle later today. Alonzo says, I had 2 terabyte M.2 NVMe die in my QNAP after 2 years. Cost double for Samsung NVMe SSD. Yep. All right. David says, yeah, literally all NVMe is like 2 times what it was last year. It's crazy. It is crazy. Can I install Proxmox on this TerraMaster? Yes, you can. I like the NAS format with my own Proxmox on it. Yes, you can install anything you want on it. TrueNAS, Unraid, Proxmox. I have Proxmox backup server installed on the TerraMaster, and that's been solid as a rock. Yes. David says, darn it, Jeremy, my hair is a mess, so I can use one of those caps. It will remind me of how my 5th grade teacher, I guess he meant my 5th grade teacher, treated me because I had only a 4.2 reading level, but an 8.5 math level. David says, I have a Super Micro 16 gig ECC RAM sticks. I have Super Micro 16 gig ECC RAM sticks. Hopefully they can fund an NVMe drive. Potentially. There's the link to that particular TerraMaster. So if you are going to buy a TerraMaster, guys, if you use my link, I will make a commission. It doesn't change your price, but it does help me out a lot. So appreciate it. Alonzo says, anyone here tried the Project Nomad by Crosstalk Solutions? No, I personally haven't, Alonzo, but I want to. I just got to get something to try it on. I don't have any older gear laying around right now. So, I have Project Nomad running on an 8-year-old HP Z4 G4 workstation, 8 years old. Wow. All right, so that's that. All right, let me get logged in here. Hold on one second. How we doing on time? Oh, we're good. Okay. So I kind of showed you this last week. This is the Grandstream GWN 7302 wireless bridge. I do have it fired up right now off my switch. You can see the signal lights on the side. Let's see if I switch here, if that's a better view. Not really. Okay, so anyway, and I do have one half of the bracket on it. There's another part of the bracket that allows it to swivel and mount to a pole. I'm planning on doing some testing with these hopefully tomorrow. I only received one unit. In fact, a bunch of us only received one unit, and I had written up a whole script with the help of Chat GPT to do like a spoof long range test between here and Chicago or here in Canada kind of deal. And it laid out everything, like with us up on ladders, you know, try this, try that. But, you know, that never came to pass. Although I did email Brian over at Grandstream and I told him what my intentions were, since it was a mistake that, you know, instead of sending us all the pair, they sent us each one. In any event, he was like, yeah, go for it. But I never got around to making it happen. So I do have the other one here. And like I said, I showed it to you last week a little bit. You can see the signal meters. The bottom one is blue. I don't know if you could see the difference between the green and the blue, but the bottom light is solid blue. This is the primary, although Grandstream's still using master and slave terminology, but I like to call it primary and secondary. On the bottom, again, you have the 24 volt port for powering 2-pin. They do give you the adapter in the box. I have it powered up right now off the switch, and then there's the PoE out port there for either another device, camera, another switch, what have you. So like I said, I plan on doing some testing with this outdoors tomorrow, but I just wanted to show it to you and show you a little look at the interface. But I want to also fire this one up. It takes a while for it to fire up and pair, so I'm going to fire this up real quick while we're waiting. I will say I had a tough time pairing them. Initially, the Grandstream video shows just there's a pairing button, that little circle dot next to the PoE out port. On the primary, you press that, supposed to be able to press that 3 times to put it in the primary mode, or again, like they say, master. And then on the secondary, you press 1 time and it's supposed to pair them up. That did not work. I tried several times. I factory reset the devices each time that it failed. And then I tried to pair up using the UI. And I still didn't have any luck, but I do want to show you the UI because it's pretty clean. So here you can see I have the primary device. It's got a little green dot. The second one still is in the process of booting up. So we'll wait for that one to come online. but you have your info here. You got your alert section here, Wi-Fi heat map here, which obviously we don't have any info, the network status information page. And then here under device pairing, you can see that the second one is still not ready. And it's in a state of still starting up and finding the primary. But that will become green eventually. Here are the RF settings. I managed to eventually get them paired using a combination of the GWN mobile app and the UI here. But just going right from the pairing here, when you click on add a device, it just basically finds the device, and I can't do it already here because it's already paired and this one's not online, but it finds the device and then it just, you click pair and then it tells you to press on the secondary device, to press the button one time. It fails. So I don't know why the combination of the mobile app and the UI worked, but I finally got it paired. I did write to Grandstream. I reported it. They did get back to me. They thanked me and they said if they have other information that they need, they will reach out. So in any event, it is online now. So you see, it did take from the time I plugged it in to now to come online and pair up with the primary device. Again, here's the RF settings. It could be connection mode, could be point to point, point to multi-point. Now with point to multi-point, you could have up to 4 devices. So the primary and 3 secondary devices, I believe. I just left the SSID and everything as default for testing purposes. For TDMA, it says if your distance exceeds 2.5 kilometers, then especially if you're in point-to-point mode, point-to-multi-point mode, you should enable TDMA. And then here's your channel width, bandwidth, channel transmit power settings, etc. Network settings, again, pretty straightforward. Device, UI, and then we have network traffic suppression, DDNS, SNMP, TR069. System settings, I do have it up to the latest firmware. You have basic settings here, manager server settings here. What I thought was interesting was SSH by default is enabled. I just left it for now, but by default, in my opinion, that should be disabled. Like I said, I upgraded it to version 1.0.3.22. It wasn't, it was like only a minor upgrade, but I figured when I was having the problems pairing it, let's get them both updated, see if that made a difference, but it did not. You have user management here, administrator and read-only, maintenance. You have external syslog, pairing with GDMS networking or GWN manager. You have a built-in ping tool. And then here under basic maintenance, backup, restore, factory settings, debug. You have a management Wi-Fi and ability to reboot the device. You have alerts here that you could set up, email notifications, and then under tools. So I'm going to do the link test last, but under like alignment tools. So like right now they are on the ground at my feet, facing each other about 4 feet apart. Not ideal, but if we start the antenna alignment, it helps you obviously to get them lined up. You'll see now the graph starting to appear. And like I said, this is on the ground at about 4 feet apart. Now, you'll see as I move them around a little bit and face them away from each other, you should start to see a change in the graph. There we go. So if I put them facing each other in close proximity, so the tool actually could be very helpful, especially if you're lining at a distance which I'm probably going to be when I do some testing. I'm going to try to go as far apart as I can within reason. So put them back down on the ground. Oh, the other thing too, I did bring up another laptop. Sorry for hitting the mic. It's getting a little crowded in here. And I'm going to plug the laptop into the PoE out, the other port, obviously. It is a PoE out port, but the laptop obviously doesn't need PoE out, right? And I should get an IP address. And I do. I get an IP address on my network. So the link obviously is working. Hard for me to show you this, but let's see if I do that and I do product view. No, you're not going to be able to see that. But I do have an IP address. So now what you will see, let me stop this test here. Actually, before we go on to the link test, let's go to the spectrum analyzer. And again, they are about 3 feet apart now on the floor. So if I start the spectrum analyzer, it's going to look for signal strength and channel load. Should take a little bit to get the information, but we'll see what comes up. All right, so you get an idea. The green is the signal strength. They're saying anything lower than minus 85. And so yeah, so we're at minus 80. Minus 91. Here we're at minus 11. And the load, roughly 8% load, channel 16. So anyway, you got some tools is the bottom line. Now, with the link test, it has iPerf built in. So if we start that, and it'll run for an hour. If you don't stop it manually, it'll just shut off in an hour. We could start the iPerf test, and again, I'll run it on this laptop here, which is connected through the link. You'll see the results on the screen there. All right, so all right, so you can see the results there. All right, so we have transfer 452 megabytes at an average of 378 megabits per second. So again, 4 feet apart. One is on its side, one is facing the ceiling. Not the ideal testing setup, but to just show you that you have these tools in the UI and that the actual link is up and running. Okay. All right, let's go back into the comments and see where we're at. Okay. Jack Squat says, I'm holding out for the new Zima Cube 2 personal cloud NAS. Sorry, Tony. Oh, no. No worries. No worries. I like the hardware in the Zima Cube Pro NAS. That's Alonzo. Yes. They can be paired manually. In the UI, I was reading the document. I finally found the GrandStream documentation on them. That was one of the That was one of the workarounds. It said if the pairing failed, if the button, using the buttons on the devices failed, I paired them. So that's what I did using the mobile app, Jason. I added both of them to the mobile app, and then I manually configured the secondary device with the SSID and password. But then I still had to go into the UI and initiate the pairing process. So, and then they had me press the button. So I know the automatic pairing was problematic for me. I don't know if that is for anybody else. I don't know if you've tried it yet. I know Mr. Tim Tech still hasn't gotten his. And the latest update I got from Willie was that his second unit is lost somewhere in transit. So I don't know if he ever received it. No, I don't. No. This one is plugged into the network switch. And this one is just plugged into a fast cabling PoE injector. Give me a little bit more credit than that. Okay. Yep, nice stuff. I like the Zima OS too. Keith says, I find it interesting that once you updated them, they did connect, but the button still did not work. No, the update didn't. The update did not resolve the issue, Keith. Do they need to face each other, and how far apart will they work? They need to obviously face each other, yes. How far apart these particular units will work, I have to look that up at what they're rated at. Let me look at the spec sheet. Let's see what it says. Let me put the spec sheet on the screen. We'll look at it together. Okay. It says it's ideal for medium to large businesses that need to provide long distance wireless data transmission. What is long distance defined as? So let's see, up to 5 kilometers coverage range. So 5 kilometers. Hey Siri, convert 5 kilometers to miles.
3.11 miles.
So it says rated up to 3 miles, 3.11 miles. Again, that's statistically. Real world will vary, I'm sure. 2.4 gigahertz, 2.4 gigabits per second aggregate wireless throughput, 2x2x2 MIMO, 5 kilometers, advanced QoS, IP66 level waterproof, weatherproof, self-power adaptation upon auto detection of PoE plus, and then it can be managed using its own built-in controller like I showed you, or with GDMS Cloud Portal or the GWN app. Let's go look here, see if there's anything in particular. Maximum transmit power 5G 26 dBm. And there's all, I mean, here's all the statistics. I'll just, instead of reading this to you, I'll just link to this in the chat as well. All right, you guys could check that out in more detail because there's a lot of specs in there. Okay, let's see. Again, if you joined late, Jeremy is going live after this stream at 1 p.m. I am going to copy and put that in the chat again for those of you who joined after the fact. If you want to head over to Jeremy's stream, 1 p.m. Jeremy, obviously, I'm not going to be there for reasons why I have this stream starting an hour earlier, because I have someplace to be after the fact, but I definitely will watch the replay. Ha ha ha, sorry, I wasn't being mean. Just watch the guy on a video plug both points into the same. Yeah, well, yeah, no, yeah. 5 kilometers. Okay. Keith says, is that the same technology as I have with the beam from county mercantile roof to the receiver of my house, yet this creates a wireless network at the location, or is it just another network extender? Yeah, it's similar to what you have. And now the guy who's giving you your internet runs his own WISP, which is a wireless internet service provider. So yes, he's using similar technology, much more robust. Just think of it as a replacement for a long Ethernet cable. So if up at the mercantile, they had an Ethernet cable that ran all the way down to your house and plugged into, your equipment, it's taking the place of that. Just think of it as an invisible wire. That's the best way I could put it, if that makes sense. And here's the link to the data sheet and the link to Jeremy's 1 o'clock stream. Okay, we are going to do a hard cut at 12:45. We're at 12:18, so we're not doing too badly. I'm hoping Grandstream does get back to me. Jason, also let me know how you make out when you attempt to pair them, if you haven't already. I'm curious if just using the 2 device buttons works for you or not, because they make it look so easy in the interview. You're welcome. You're welcome. Have fun. Are you flying your drone and dropping like a piñata or something? So, all right. I do want to share, let's see, I talked about the TerraMaster, talked about Jeremy's video. I do want to share this link here. Well, I'll share the article, but then the link. This came out, I think, 2 days ago. I found it on Dark Reading, but I also saw it on the news. Dark Sword, iPhone exploit kit serves spies and thieves alike. Talks about an exploit for iPhones running, I believe it was iOS version 18.4 to 18.7. So if you're running that version, I suggest you upgrade pretty quickly. New iOS exploit chain is being used by attackers around the globe, and it's built for espionage actors and financially motivated actors alike. Google, iVerify, and Lookout this week published research concerning Dark Sword, an exploit chain targeting iPhones running 18.4 through 18.7. Google's threat intelligence group referred to it in a blog post as a full chain exploit that leveraged multiple zero-day vulnerabilities to fully compromised devices and has been used by multiple commercial surveillance vendors and suspected state-sponsored threat actors to target users in Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Malaysia, and Ukraine since last November. So I know I'm running iOS 26 point whatever. If you have an iPhone and you are running 18.4 through 18.7, I recommend that you go out and upgrade immediately, even though they say they're not targeting in the US. I also read another article that said something to the effect of that you weren't automatically exploited unless you yourself clicked on a link, a bad link in on a website or in an email. So it wasn't like, oh, this thing's just automatically going to take over your phone if you're running that iOS version. But anyway, it didn't say that in this article that I'm sharing, but another article that I had seen prior to this one earlier that day mentioned that. So, what else we got? Let's take a look at the weekly polls. Hey, Keith, I don't know if you noticed earlier, if you're still here, I had the telestrator working. In fact, let me just show you, Keith. I have the telestrator with the program view in the telestrator on my iPad, and I can illustrate with it seeing the reference image. So I know you and I were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. It does work. I am using it off of a MacBook, sharing the iPad as a second monitor. So I think that's what's really making it work. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, all right, let's go to the weekly posts and see where we are. I have not checked them at all this week. So let's see. 1 day ago, 3 days ago, 5 days ago. Let's go 8 days ago and start there. All right. What do you use for an internal? No, that's 5 days ago. Your home lab. You use your home lab mostly for 108 votes. 10% of the people said testing new tech. 25% said hosting real services. 6% said training purposes. And 58% said all of the above. Now, I know we covered this last week, but I knew we would get more votes because it was only out for a day at that point in time. So I think we had like 30 some odd votes on it last week when we looked at it. Now we have 108. So I just wanted to recap it one more time. What do you use for an internal DNS server? We got 121 votes. 36% of the people said Pi-hole. 17% said AdGuard Home, Synology DNS Server 7%, and 41% said I don't have an internal DNS server. I used to use Synology DNS Server. I tried Pi-hole for a while. I am now using AdGuard. I like AdGuard the best out of all three. I know there are people that will, debate me on AdGuard versus Pi-hole. But for me, for my purposes, for my network, I'm finding out that AdGuard is doing its job, and where Pi-hole was just blocking too much. And I know you can go in and custom configure it and all, but I honestly just couldn't be bothered. I just want something out of the box that works. And AdGuard is doing it for me. Let's go take a look at some of the comments. Grish said he's using Unify. Jamtin said he's using Technetium. TVJ is using his GCC 6010. David says, when I was an information security consultant, 16 years before my last job with a state agency, I saw far too many instances of internal DNS servers being used inappropriately, so I find it difficult to even have one in my environment, out of proportion, out of principle. Toro says he's using Bind. This gentleman says, I run Technetium on a refurbished HP thin client with 128 gig SSD and 4 gig RAM. Also run a subnet router on it. All direct install, no containers or VMs. George says pfSense. Jeremy says, I've used Pi-hole on and off for greater than 5 years. I've been looking at Technetium recently as something to replace or augment it. Both offer HA options. I just need to pick a path forward. Fair enough. All right, so that was 5 days ago. 3 days ago, 128 votes for what storage type do you prefer? 54% of the 128 people said hardware RAID, 33 said software RAID, and then 13% said individual external drives. Let's look at the comments on that one. ZFS is my everything. ZFS RAID. I can't read that. Z26 times 4 terabyte using TrueNAS scale along with sync things. ZFS Jack Squat says all day, every day. Terrell says I'm playing around with software RAID right now, but right now I just have my physical drives in just a bunch of disks. David says ZFS is better than hardware RAID. Hardware RAID is fine until the controller dies and you realize you have had redundant disks, controllers, and PSUs. Oh, and if your controllers don't have an onboard battery to store write cache, you may as well not have redundant controllers, or you could just install ZFS on whatever you've got lying around. And Joe says, just a bunch of disks, tough economy. So I love doing these polls because I just love to get feedback from the community and see and get people's points of view, positions. It's just fun to learn about everybody's different perspectives on things. Okay, and then 1 day ago, yesterday, your current home lab goal is 68 votes total. Learning new tech, 51%. Improve reliability, 7%. 16% of the people said increase security, and 25% of the people say just to keep it running. So there you go. So we got through pretty much everything. I'm looking at a video. Here's my plan for the point-to-point video. Actually, let me just go back to the comments really quick. I like to refer back to see what people are saying. So, and engage with you guys and gals if there are any out there. Jason said I haven't touched mine, but we'll give it a shot today. Cool. Have to tire out my puppy before I get lab time. I get it. Especially new puppies, lots of energy, right? There's the article to the iPhone hack. Keith says he's still here. Jack Squat says, I have encrypted DNS configured on Quad 9. Can't imagine being online without it. Yep. Nice. All right, so here's my plan for the testing of the point-to-point. If I can get out tomorrow, it's supposed to be a nice day. I'm going to head over to like a county park. I was there Friday and kind of measured out roughly how far apart I can get them in the park where I would be away from bothering people, activities, and things that are going on in the park, especially if it's a nice day. And I can get them as far apart as about 0.3 miles. So that's a fair test in sense of if you're on a complex with multiple buildings, I mean, buildings are probably going to be closer together than 0.3 miles. So if you were using them to connect buildings together, I think this will be a fair test. So how I plan to go about it, I shouldn't tell you. I should just let you wait and watch the video. But my thought plan, if this works, is one side of the setup, I'm going to have the Verizon Business Gateway. That'll be my internet source. Now, the speeds on that, I'm not getting great speeds. In fact, I drove around with that this week on Monday to all different areas of Leland and Wilmington, and I pretty much didn't get better than what I showed you last week on the stream, which was about 24, 25 down and 24, 25 megabits per second up. So most of the time it wasn't connecting to 5G, it was connecting to 4G. So I guess that's part of it as well. Whether or not that particular router is throttled, on the plan that it's on. That could be a possibility. Again, it's not mine. So according to the representative in the Verizon store, I did go back on Monday and stop in, and I told him the speeds I was getting, and he said, oh, you should be getting between 80 and 100 down, but I'm not. So in any event, that's going to be my internet source. So speeds are not going to be all that great, but I'm looking for connectivity, to test out the connectivity at that distance and see what the speeds are, knowing that I'm starting with speeds of about 25 down and up. So one side of the transmitter, or the primary, will be up on a pole about 8 feet high. The Verizon gateway is battery operated, so it's self-powered. I'm going to have a small power station. I have a no-name knockoff that'll be enough to power a PoE injector, to power the primary, and it'll be getting the network off the business gateway. And then on the other side, I'm going to have my small EcoFlow. I have a smaller River too, and I'm going to power up the PoE injector to power the secondary unit 0.3 miles away, and I'll plug my laptop into the secondary unit, and I'm going to try to see, first of all, see if I can get connectivity and see what the signals are using the signal tool in the UI, and we'll go from there. We'll see what kind of results we get. So I know I'm not going to get like super high speeds between the two, because the source internet is only maxed at whatever it is. So, but that's my idea, to just get out a little bit into a field and see what I could do with it. So anyway, that's what's going on. I appreciate you all being here for the 1 hour early start time. I'm going to bring this thing to a wrap. Don't forget, Jeremy's going live in 26 minutes from now. It's 12:34. I just looked up and it changed. So Practical IT will be live at 1 p.m. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I know I felt a little razzled today, and I guess that's because those of you who joined me late, the stream prior 8 minutes before the stream was just chaos. So I was like all worked up and stuff, and so I do apologize, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and I hope to see you back here next Saturday, regular time, 12:15 p.m. Eastern. Take care for now, everyone. Have a safe weekend.